World War I, also known as the Great War, was one of the most significant conflicts in history. It began in 1914 and lasted until 1918, involving many of the world's great powers and dramatically shaping the course of the 20th century. The war introduced new forms of warfare, caused immense loss of life, and redrew political boundaries across Europe and beyond. The roots of World War I go back to complex political and military alliances, nationalism, and imperialism. By the early 20th century, Europe was divided into two main alliance systems. The Triple Entente, which included France, Russia, and Great Britain, and the Triple Alliance made up of Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. These alliances were meant to maintain a balance of power, but instead created tensions, as any conflict involving one country could drag in others. Another key factor leading to the war was nationalism, the belief in the superiority of one's nation. Nationalism was particularly strong in the Balkans, where several ethnic groups sought independence from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This tension was further fueled by imperialism, as European powers competed for colonies in Africa and Asia, adding to global rivalries. The immediate spark for the war came on June 28, 1914, when Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated in Sarajevo, Bosnia, by a Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary, backed by Germany, declared war on Serbia, and this local conflict quickly escalated as countries bound by alliances were drawn in. In August 1914, World War I erupted. Germany declared war on Russia after Russia mobilized to support Serbia. Germany then declared war on France and invaded Belgium to reach France, triggering the involvement of Great Britain, which had a treaty to defend Belgium. The war was characterized by trench warfare, particularly on the Western Front, a long, static line stretching across northern France and Belgium. Soldiers faced horrific conditions in the trenches, with mud, rats, and the constant threat of death from enemy fire, artillery bombardments, or poison gas. On the Eastern Front, the war played out in a much more fluid manner, as Russia faced both the German Empire and Austria-Hungary. However, the Russian military struggled with poor logistics, leadership, and a lack of supplies, leading to major defeats. Some of the major battles of World War I include the Battle of the Somme, the Battle of Verdun, and the Battle of Gallipoli. The Somme, 1916, is infamous for the sheer scale of casualties. Around 1 million soldiers were killed or wounded. The Battle of Verdun, also 1916, was one of the longest and most devastating battles of the war, with over 700,000 casualties. On the Eastern Front, Russia saw some early victories but suffered significant losses as the war continued. Meanwhile, the Ottoman Empire entered the war on the side of the Central Powers, and the Battle of Gallipoli, 1915, marked a failed Allied campaign to secure a route to Russia. The war's reach expanded as countries like Italy, Japan, and the United States joined the fight. Initially, the United States sought to remain neutral, but several events pushed America into the conflict. In 1917, the Zimmermann Telegram, a secret message from Germany to Mexico urging an alliance against the U.S., was intercepted. At the same time, Germany resumed unrestricted submarine warfare, attacking neutral ships, including American vessels. In April 1917, President Woodrow Wilson asked Congress to declare war on Germany, citing the need to protect democracy and maintain international peace. The U.S. entry provided a much-needed boost to the Allied powers, tipping the balance of the war in their favor. By 1918, the Central Powers were on the brink of collapse. Germany, facing shortages of troops and supplies, was unable to sustain its offensive. The Allied blockade of German ports had severely weakened the German economy, and popular unrest at home led to strikes and protests. In the final months of the war, the Allies launched a series of successful offensives, pushing German forces back. On November 11, 1918, Germany requested an armistice, effectively ending the fighting. The war officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. The impact of World War I was profound. It resulted in the destruction of four major empires: the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire, and the German Empire. New nations were formed, and political boundaries across Europe were redrawn. However, the Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, military restrictions, and reparations. These terms would sow the seeds of resentment in Germany, eventually leading to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the outbreak of World War II 2 decades later. The war also led to major changes in the social and cultural landscape. The death toll from World War I was staggering, with an estimated 16 million people, military and civilian, killed. The war left deep scars, and its devastating effects are still felt in various ways today. World War I, despite its catastrophic loss of life and widespread destruction, also marked the beginning of a new era in world history. It changed how wars were fought, how countries interacted, and how the world would ultimately be shaped in the years to come. The war was a turning point that signaled the end of old empires and the beginning of new ideologies and global conflicts.